Hello there everybody, this is Graham, also known as Collect75, and welcome back to part 14 of my Transformers Marvel UK Comics review. After the brief interlude that was Ancient Relics, we now continue the storyline of Blaster, Goldbug and the Scraplets. We start off here at issue number 126, cover date 15th of August 1987, still at 32 pence. Nice little cover here with the Throttlebots, well, the introduction of the Throttlebots actually, smashing up Goldbug, and it just says at Ratbat's command. So we open up the issue, and if I can open up, there we go. We now just have the storyline moving back to Cybertron and a bunch of Autobot troublemakers that are the Throttlebots, causing trouble as usual, but then they get overwhelmed by all the Decepticons are taken prisoner. Taken to see the Commander Ratbat, and he basically just offers them a deal, either a trip to the smelting pool or basically he can deliver what they think is the cure, because obviously we have a communication with an infected Astro train saying that they'll deliver the cargo that was shipped to Earth, but only if they deliver the cure. Basically, there you go, without a cure we'll die. And so basically the Throttlebots thinking they're going to deliver a cure, but Ratbat says there is no cure, there is only sort of like a brief, sort of like even a rumour of it, that there is a cure for Scraplets. So basically they're just going to take an acid bath with them, and they're going to destroy all the infected Transformers, because if it got back to Cybertron the effects could be catastrophic, so they're going to kill everyone. Meanwhile we have Goldbug here with that funny human, I can never remember what his name is, but he's pushing him, and as you can see he's badly infected. And he manages to reach a petrol station out in the middle of nowhere, and it's owned by GB BlackRock. That will become important as the story goes on. Bottom 8. It just goes on, and he says he needs to wash. Well, the guy offers him some water because he can see he's badly dehydrated where he's out in the desert. But then some water from his cup drops on Goldbug, and it basically kills the Scraplets. And then he realises that water actually is the cure for Scraplets. And so he says, "I've got to wash my car," but then he says, "You crazy, it needs to be scrapped." But anyway, he eventually manages to do it. The space bridge materialises with the Throttlebots containing their acid, and you can see the badly sort of like deteriorating Decepticons and their prisoner Blaster. They try and attack the Autobots, but they just fall about, and Scraplets now just fall off him and find fresh meat basically. As it goes on, they're just preparing, but they know that someone has sort of like basically escaped them, and so they track him down. And a couple of here, it's Wide Load and Rollbar. I'm going to basically kill Goldbug, but then they realise, well, basically the little human infects them. We'll continue that storyline in the next issue. And here we go, just more Grimgrams, Battle Beasts, and I believe, it's just basically an advert for the annual, which I've already reviewed in one of my previous reviews. And basically we have more Iron Man. And that was it. I'm not going to go. Hard to get the pages apart today. Anyway, we continue here with issue 127. And as you can see from the cover, the Scraplets can all combine, as usually everything can these days. So we just go on. As you can see, just infected Wide Load with the Scraplets, but then cures him with some water, and they realise that there is a cure, so they go and basically cure Goldbug there, who then starts to get better. And they basically radio GB BlackRock, who is going to deliver loads of water to the desert. As I said, it would become important later that that place was owned by GB BlackRock. And so here we have all the Decepticons rapidly deteriorating, and the Autobots come along and are going to start curing them. Basically they do, but Blaster says, "No, don't cure us, kill us," and the Decepticons, "I can't believe it." And he says, "Well, release the acid." But just as they do that, the actual Scraplets save the day, because they've all combined to this big thing mode, I don't know what you want to call it, and basically destroys some of the water. And then there's a big fight. Goldbug realises that they need the Decepticons, so they fires all the water in, curing everybody. So then the Decepticons start to get all their powers back, and then take on the Scraplets and start killing them. And as so, but then Blaster dumps all the acid on the Scraplets, killing them. And that's about it. Meanwhile, as you can see, Astro Train fires something, hypnotising GB BlackRock, and they let the Decepticons leave with the cargo, and that is basically the end of the story. Not much of a story, bit of a wasted thing there. The Scraplets never ever return, which is a shame really, because they were quite good characters. More Grimgrams, more Iron Man. And then we come to another silly sort of like next issue with oh no, it's not this one. I actually thought it was a different one. I think that's later. Or it might be, I don't know. Anyway, we'll come to that in a minute. Issue number 128. Here we go. There's Shockwave on the cover. Nice little cover, that. What's the story? This title of this story is actually, yes, it is that silly storyline. This is Buster Witwicky and the Car Wash of Doom. Completely pointless. All it is just about that the Decepticons hypnotised GB Blackrock to set up basically some funny car washes, where instead of washing the car, it just drains them of their energy, and that's what the cargo was from last issue. Silly, absolutely preposterous, but there we go. And then just as it happens, Buster goes and wants to wash his car at one of them and finds out, basically, and that's it. Here we go, just GB showing his wash and roll car wash. Completely pointless, but it hypnotises all the people while in the car that they've had their car washed, while really it's just emptied all its fuel ready for the Decepticons, and it just hypnotises them basically to come back and keep doing it. Well, fair enough, it's a good way of getting fuel, I suppose, but a bit of preposterous really. You think the Decepticons would just go out and steal it all. So there we go. As you can see, I've cut out the A to Z there. And we're going to move on to the next issue, which is 129 and part 2 of this story. There you go, so let me line it up right. Nice little cover, that. Like that one. As you can see, I think by this time Buster's sort of like onto it, and he's going to say what's going on with his girlfriend Jessie. And blah 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 blah. Not much happens. Eventually Ratbat gets the ump with Buster and tries killing him. This bit is actually mentioned a bit later in the Generation 2 comics, when we see a reference to Ratbat in the past, and I swear it's this bit here when Ratbat is actually trying to grab Buster. Yeah, there we go, nothing much happens. As you can see, the Decepticons' plan is foiled eventually and nothing much happens. And unfortunately, like I said, I'm not dissing the American stuff, but unfortunately it was a bit lame. Anyway, we have more Grimgrams and advert for Action Force there. If I can come to the next issue, we have... Actually, no, it didn't have a next issue. Oh, the next issue's on the back, because of the next big thing, which is, of course, the Headmasters, which I'll come to right now. Number issue 130. Let me line this up. Now then, we had a break from regular storyline, so basically Hasbro could sell all its new Transformers, which of course the Headmasters. It came with this little decoder. You sort of moved it so you could put the... You had a number here. I think it references the Decepticon, or the Autobots or the Decepticons on the back. Let me try and get that in focus. And so number 3, which is Chrome Dome, so you line up the little black dot here to number 3. Comes up with his Nebulan Companion, his allegiance, strength, endurance and stuff. That was it really. Not bad, but you know, they were the sort of free gifts. Still better than some of the ones you get today on today's comics, isn't it? So, yeah, so we go inside. This is of course Worlds Apart, where basically the Autobot Headmasters are racing to free their captured Target Master friends, because rumour has it that the Decepticons are having trouble perfecting the Target Master process, and so capture them to dissect them basically. But in reality, it's the Headmaster process they're having problems perfecting, the binary bonding of a Nebulan with basically a Decepticon. And they need the actual... It's a trap for the Autobot Headmasters, and we'll find that out by the time. As you can see, this is a bit of a battle, just introducing everybody and stuff as it goes on. And we can see them transforming their heads and just showing them off, basically, and a bit of a backstory. And that's about it really, and it just says here, once they break into Decepticon headquarters, it's saying, oh no, get out of here, you don't understand, it's not us they want, it's not the Target Master process they can perfect, we were just the bait, it's you they want. And Kroom and Scorponok makes his appearance, and it says, that's right Highbrow, much too late, Scorponok has no mercy. Now you'll find in this comic they actually make no reference to Fortress Maximus, mainly because that toy was never released in this country. So he wasn't featured in this comic. I do remember this actual issue. It was actually advertised on TV just before I was going to school one day. I was quite chuffed about that. And now the backup strip, which is cover-to-cover Transformers, because now the backup strip was the Headmaster 4-issue limited series that was in America. I can't really remember this too much. It's just basically the backstory, nothing much. The Decepticons basically come from Cybertron and blah 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 blah. Fortress Maximus gets the ump with war and basically wants to search for a planet where there's no war. They go there, Decepticons follow, yada yada yada, really. And then they both see the destruction they're causing to Nebulos, and basically they detect a distress call from Earth and decide to head to Earth, basically. And the Decepticons follow, leaving Nebulos a ruined mess, basically. That is the entire thing of the 4-issue limited series. There is a bit more to it than that, but that was just a quick basic summary of it. Anyway, let's continue with issue 131, the 19th of September 1987. I do love that date, actually, because that is my birthday. Anyway, here we go. So that was nice. This comic did sort of come on sale on my birthday. There we go. Anyway, this is one. It's just a nice picture of Scorponok there with Highbrow. As you can see now, Scorponok is attacking, and basically goes through, and then Scorponok is made off with Highbrow because he's going to dissect him. We'll leave the rest to the other Decepticons to finish off. And then basically we're just talking and realising and watching them talk to each other. Scorponok realises that it isn't so much the binary process, it's who you pick to be partnered with. And he realises that both people need to get on with each other. And so much for that. And he says, thanks for solving our little problem, Gort. Unfortunately for you, that means you've outlived your usefulness. But then the two, basically the Autobot and the Nebulon, learn to work together and realises they can put aside their differences to work together, and they do, and then they beat up Scorponok. Bit ridiculous really when he's twice the size, but there we go. And then that's it. That was the end of the Headmaster's short-lived appearance in this comic, for the moment anyway, as then we head back to relative normal continuity. Right, so then we have Grimgrams, an advert there for the Target Masters. Wish they'd make more of those actually in the Generations line, that would be quite cool. And so here we have, there's Fortress Maximus looking out at Nebulos. He's been watching it for a while, nice peaceful planet for them to go and basically live out a nice peaceful life. And he's found some Autobots that share his way of thinking, and so they set out there and go there. Unfortunately, not all goes to plan. Highbrow tries to introduce himself to a few Nebulons. Unfortunately, the little Nebulon basically is afraid of him, falls down, hurts himself, and basically the woman blames the Autobots or something like that. Can't really remember now, but the Autobot says, take this to your leader. Meanwhile, we have one of the sort of like delegates from Nebulos, Lord Zarak, and he's not a very nice person. He has a few cronies, probably a bit like the actual Houses of Parliament really. So it usually is in there. So they usually throw bits of paper at each other when they don't agree. Anyway, so here we have, and the next issue is, what is this old Cup story? It's basically just how Cup, Blur and Hot Rod met, and features some art from a person I could never get on with. I can't remember, is it Dan Reed? Yeah, Dan Reed. I could never really get on with his artwork. Yeah, thought it was his cover as well actually. He's got some strange artwork that makes him look, but I don't know, it works in some stories, like in the later The City of Fear storyline. I thought it quite suited that, or the zombie Transformers. Anyway, so this is Cup. He has been basically, it's a bit like in Judge Dredd when they take the long walk really. This guy's been put out to pasture in his own shuttle because he's past it basically, and he's just sort of like drinking himself to death. And then he sees this battle going on in front of him out in space, and it's basically, so Cup takes the lead, saves him, and that's it really. Hold on, I've just turned the page. I haven't read this story for a very long time, so bear with me. Basically he sets off, and then a board company invites the Autobot shuttle aboard, and it's Hot Rod. And he says, oh, we've got to go and free my mate Blair, and Cup says, no chance, I'm past it, blah 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 blah. So Hot Rod sets out on his own, and Cup knows that he's got to go and rescue him, so he saves the day basically, as we can see. But we've got the insert here from Spider-Man, Children in Danger. Nice little British Bobby there on the beat. Don't see many more of them these days, too interested in nicking people for speeding. But then we come to the normal sort of like storyline here. He's up against this weird alien, twice the size of Hot Rod with twice as many arms, and basically Cup comes in and saves the day, and they're all mates, and then they all fly off together back to join the Autobot army. There we are. More Grimgrams, more Headmasters, Ring of Hate Part 3. And then basically Zarek has set the Autobots up to fail by shooting, I can't remember who this fella is, probably Krunk or someone like that. Shoots a magnetic bullet at Blur there, attracting his arm to this thing, make it look like he's attacking, and so he gives them the right to basically bare arms against the Autobots, because they've not bared arms for centuries. And so they basically attack them, and the Autobots, being peace-loving people, don't want to actually attack them back. But the next issue features good old Deathshead. Right, so here we go, and to the last issue of this review, which is a number 133, and features a quite shocking ending. And it just has a great cover of Rodimus Prime on the floor there, with Deathshead standing over him saying, "Warned you, yes." So now here we have, back on the planet Scarvix, with Blot, probably one of his only appearances actually, with him mainly in it, offering basically the bounty for Rodimus Prime. The Decepticons want this fella, which is of course Deathshead. He basically says at one point just revenge, but he says, "Where's the profit in there? It doesn't pay the rent." But then they say they offer him 10,000 Shaniks and says, "Now you're talking a language Deathshead understands. Rodimus Prime's as good as dead, yes?" So anyway, the Decepticons ferry Deathshead to Cybertron. And then here we have Rodimus Prime doubting his abilities as a leader and stuff like that, and he yearns for days when he was Hot Rod, and where war was fun and carefree. And this is where it also mentions that Firebolt goes, "His loss is too painful to bear. Born on Nobilis, he died millions of miles away on Earth." We never actually see him die, but you never know, maybe one day. Yeah, we never see him die, but I'm sure it was supposed to happen, but I can't remember when it did. Anyway, so it goes through basically, and then here we have Cyclonus and Scourge, with Decepticon leader Shockwave, and they say they can't believe that they've basically sent Deathshead to do something they could have done themselves, because they've got a personal vendetta against Deathshead and Rodimus Prime. So basically Shockwave knows that they're going to go after Rodimus Prime, will probably run into Deathshead, because these are the two closest things he's got to rival Decepticons leaders basically, and Shockwave doesn't want Galvatron to return because he's quite happy being a leader, as you can see by laughing, because he knows that they're going to meet up with Deathshead and hopefully he's going to kill them. Quite clever thing there from Shockwave. And anyway, so Rodimus Prime is out on routine patrol with a couple of his cronies, and basically they go off to investigate a noise. Rodimus Prime walking along, realises suddenly they're gone, and then suddenly something's been thrown at him. He says, "What's going on? By the Matrix! I'm under attack!" Clunk, clunk, clunk. "No, I don't get it." I thought, no, and he realises it's just a head. Deathshead jumps down. "I'm disappointed, yes?" And he goes, "Hoped to be a more elusive prey, but you round yourself with weak, ineffectual warriors, dispatched in no time they were." Sounds a bit like bloody Yoda then. "Then, like some amateur, you let yourself be panicked and attacked." And anyway, so he starts beating him up, as you can see. Here we go. And then he attaches the blaster to his hand, and then basically he watches Rodimus Prime trying to crawl away, but then puts the gun up against his head. He goes, "No hard feelings, Prime. For what it's worth, this is just business, yes?" And it says, "A few short hours ago, Rodimus Prime could not see an end to the war that is his life. Right at this moment, however, an end is all he can see." And then boom, next, and a big question mark. It does sort of give it away what actually happened at the end on the next issue, which is a little bit disappointing. We've got more Grim Grams and 30 Transformers the movie videos to be won. I love that cover. I did have a used to poster of that. I wish I still had it. And then we got in Thundercats issue number 30. I was going to buy it that time, but never did bother to get around to it. And anyway, here we have the Autobots in Ring of Hate Part 4. I cut out a bit of the comic, so I can't actually show that. Yeah, they're just regrouping from licking their wounds from when the Nobulons attacked them. But Fortress Maximus has a plan up his sleeve. He goes and sees the people and basically offers them his head. And he rips it off and then puts it down and says, "You have us now, let the others live in peace, and then if anything ever happens you could always kill us." But Zarek can't believe it, but Galen says, "Okay, that's a fair deal," and Zarek has got the ump. There will be no war today. But here we go, there's a little picture of a slimy looking Cyclonus there with his gun smouldering away. And that is it for this part of the review. I hope you liked it, and we'll stick around for part 15 coming soon. Bye for now.